Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar this afternoon in some parts of Australia, this morning in other parts. Accountants have a new opportunity to provide value-adding services. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS Pistols. Welcome to this webinar, which is part of our promotion of Black Friday, and we will be continuing this through until Friday of this week. So I hope you're having a great day wherever you are around Australia. The government keeps on helping accountants. You mightn't think that, but I do when I look at the history. 35 years ago, this trend started when Section 708 of the Corporations Act was introduced. It was a very welcome addition to corporate law back in those years, I can tell you, because I was one of the accountants who were trying to help companies to get themselves into an investment ready status and be able to raise capital. Section 708 was fairly narrow in the group of people. You couldn't advertise, and you still can't, but it's still there, and it's a very valuable section within the Corporations Code that I hope that you're familiar with. And then 2.5 years ago, we had early stage innovation companies introduced. Now, this was a fantastic innovation from the government. It was foreshadowed by then Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull in December 2015, when he introduced the Liberal National Party coalition government's policy on innovation. And this particular type of company allows a company that is young, that has developed a new product, process, service, marketing or management methodology to be able to raise capital, because there is an attraction for investors to invest in these types of companies. And again, I hope that you have some familiarity with early stage innovation companies. We will be running another separate webinar on that type of company early in 2020. But it's very attractive for investors because investors receive a tax rebate based on their investment up to a maximum of $50,000 for a retail investor. And there is no limit to the amount of money that a sophisticated investor can invest, but the rebate cuts off at $200,000. That's been calculated on $1 million investment. And they don't have to pay capital gains tax if the investors retain the shares for longer than 12 months and less than 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, there's a revaluation of the company. And then 18 months ago, we had crowdsource funding equity raising introduced. This was also part of the government's innovation policy. And it was a great move to assist companies with turnovers under $25 million, value of assets under $25 million, and not listed on a stock exchange anywhere in the world to be able to raise capital. And now we've got the Australian Business Growth Fund that the government has announced. And this is going to relate to companies with turnovers from between $2 million and $50 million annually. And the Treasurer has indicated that there will be 30 to 50 companies per annum who will receive this investment from the fund. And Mr. Frydenberg particularly referred to this investment as being patient investment. So the fund is not going to be looking to make an investment and be able to do an exit within a few years. This is a patient investment to help the directors and leadership team within a company to build up the value of that company. And the Treasurer also indicated that there will be a cutoff in the investment, in that the fund cannot take any more than 40% equity in a company that it is investing in. A separate board of directors will be appointed by the Treasurer, and there will be no banking representatives, even though banks are one of the, in fact, the major investment group at this stage. So how's it been funded? The Australian government's contributing $100 million, and they have encouraged the banks to contribute between them $420 million. So that's $100 million out of each of the big four banks and $20 million out of one of the smaller banks at this stage. And there could be more. There has been some discussion in the media as to whether the government is also talking to the major superannuation funds and trying to encourage them also to invest money in this fund. So when I say that the government is working with accountants to help accountants, I think that this fund really highlights that. So the board will appoint a management team to do the review and analysis of companies that are seeking to gain investment from this fund. The Treasurer's announcement indicated that the fund's commencement was imminent. So one would assume that the fund is going to be able to commence early in 2020. I think this is a great opportunity for proactive accountants. Why? Well, these companies are going to need documentation that should be within your expertise to prepare for your clients. Very few of these companies will have the internal resources and the spare manpower to enable them to self-produce this type of documentation. A couple might, especially those companies with turnovers closer to $50 million. But the companies are going to need bankable business plans that look at where this company is likely to go over the next 3 to 5 years. Budgets and cash flow forecasts that clearly identify what the company is going to do over the next 3 to 5 years. Projected balance sheets for the next 3 years. What is going to occur out of the business plan, budgets and cash flows, and projected balance sheets for that period. They're going to need a leadership team that understands the challenges that companies have and are able to work with the board of directors to implement the policies that the board of directors have agreed on. The companies are going to need a board of directors that can offer oversight and strong corporate governance to assist in the implementation of a great business strategy. And all of them, the board of directors and the leadership team, are going to need a vision, an understanding of where they're wanting to take this company over the next 3 to 5 years. I think most of them will need to have gone through a scaling up process, because presumably this is why they'd be looking for investment funds. They want to grow, they want to take on some new activities, they want to commercialize a product or process that they have developed. So when you look at scaling up, the first item you need to consider is the people, the team. Who has the company got that can drive this process? Who are the leaders going to be, the leadership team? Are they already in situ, or do they need to be employed? And then they need to be trained and motivated and really to sign on to this company's vision, because all of these companies are a people leadership business. They need those people to be working in conjunction with their leaders. And the strategies need to be clearly established. And many of your clients who aspire to be able to utilize this source of potential equity for their companies, or indeed crowdsource funding equity raising, need a strategy. And the strategy needs to have been thought about, argued, agreed, and documented so that it can be reflected in business plans, and summaries of it can be incorporated into the final offer document, which I imagine is what is going to have to be presented to the Australian Business Growth Fund. And then they need a process of how they're going to execute the strategy. It's no use developing strategies covering every facet of the business operations unless there is an agreement as to how all of that's going to be implemented. And it won't just happen in 1 week or even 1 month for a lot of companies. It will take a longer time. So what can happen? How's it going to be executed? And then we get to one of the most important aspects of putting together this new company. It will need finance to fund the vision and the growth that's required. You know, many business people underestimate what the problems are going to be as a business goes through these growth spurts. They get started on scaling up. Because every time a company increases its turnover, in most cases, there is a requirement for an increase in investment in inventory, in work in progress, in debtors. Now, there is some offset in some cases with the creditors' balance, but perhaps the suppliers of the key raw materials and stock have imposed very strict payment terms, 30 days or even less, whilst the debtors might be wanting to take 70 or 80 days to make payment. So the investment in work in progress can increase quite alarmingly. And the management team, the leadership team need to be aware of this, as do the directors, so that they have thought about how they're going to finance this. The company may require to do some more research and development. It might have to allocate 3 people on a research and development project for most of the next 12 months. That cost has to be absorbed within the system. And even though hopefully the company will be able to apply for a research and development grant, that grant is paid in arrears, or the research and development rebate. It's probably a better way of putting it. And the company may have needed some extra facilities, whether it's a workshop or an office. And that also has to be funded. So this opportunity that the government is giving to small businesses and medium-sized enterprises through the Australian Business Growth Fund is very opportune, because we're living in a time where, even though interest rates have fallen to very low levels, it is very difficult for many people in small business and medium-sized enterprises to be able to borrow money from banks. This has all come about, of course, in the aftermath of the Banking Royal Commission. So that companies with a vision, with a plan, with a real strategy, a strong leadership team, a good board of directors, who can then assemble some finance have been encouraged by the government to go for it, to make it work, to employ more people, to create wealth, to pay tax. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And the government's giving encouragement. So companies now have the choice, some Section 708 capital raising, which many of them will still do as part of an overall package, unless they're caught by the 50 shareholder limit for a proprietary company. Other companies may be able to use initially the early stage innovation company status to attract some investors, but now could be very interested in the Australian Business Growth Fund. And others may have been one of the 55 companies that have already raised over $40 million from Crowdsource Funding equity raising, and perhaps now want to look to see whether they can raise some more money utilising the Australian Business Growth Fund. So the financing of the scaling up process is very important. So I think you should be making a commitment to move to business advisory services now. The surveys that have been prepared by leading organisations have really emphasised that now is the time to finally do something about offering ongoing proactive business advisory services, or as some people are calling it, business improvement services. I'm not going to have an argument with you over what it is called. I think the challenge is for accountants to proactively implement business advisory services. Don't have it listed on your websites. And when I ring and just start talking to someone, normally in the accounting team, and say, well, you look like you're already offering a broad range of business advisory services, get told, oh, don't worry about what's on our website. A lot of that's for show. We might look at doing it if someone comes and asks us about it. I really believe you need to be proactive to really catch this product and become a leader in it, because there's not going to be enough there for every accountant in Australia. There's over 10,000 accounting firms. I don't think everyone is going to be able to earn 40 to 50% of their fee income from business advisory services. And that's what I think proactive firms should be aspiring to. So the reports that I'm referring to are the Commonwealth Bank's Accounting Market Pulse report that was released in June of this year, which identified that the momentum towards business advisory services was gaining traction, that more and more firms were doing it. And in fact, the firms that the Commonwealth Bank had surveyed had identified that their key marketing initiative from now on was going to be social media. And it had risen on their indexes from 14% supported social media 2 years ago, and it's now at 69% for this year. And then a couple of weeks ago, we had the Australian Financial Review analyse the top 100 accounting firms. And they're an interesting group. Some of them are ESS Pistols subscribers. And when the Financial Review reporter and his team analysed those firms, they found a very strong commitment towards providing business advisory services. And this was not including the top 4 firms who have been diversifying their activity for years. What about your firm? What are you going to do? And then last week we had the Xero CEO wrote a report that was published in London. Automation will force accountants to reinvent their role. He believes there's going to be an 80% change in the work performed by accountants, or 80% of the work you currently perform. is the way he really put it, will not exist in 20 years' time. Now, this is just not going to occur in 20 years' time, that suddenly 80% of the work disappears. Doesn't work that way, as we all know. It's a progression. And that progression, I think, is already happening. And people tell me every day when I talk to accountants all over Australia that it's happening. The marketplace is changing. More and more work's been outsourced. That's number one. Number two, the computer software packages produced by Xero and MYOB and others are absorbing more and more of the work that was traditionally undertaken by accountants. And the software packages are enabling more work to be done by the clients themselves. I think you've got a tremendous opportunity though to be supplying the effort that requires the brain, the things that at this stage, at least, are very difficult to be factored into a computer program. And that is offering a broader range of business advisory services, being the chief financial officer of your clients, offering an outsourced or virtual service. The technology, the communications enable you to do that. So the capital raising process for proprietary companies that really started 35 years ago, when the Section 708 was introduced to the Corporations Code, is now well established. It's accepted, I think, by all sides of the political debate in Canberra, that proprietary companies should be allowed to raise capital from the public. 2020 is a great sound to it, isn't it? It's a start of a whole new decade. Why not be ready for it? Why not have your team ready, that as the Australian Business Fund is formulated by the government, that you're ready to start offering service in that area for your clients. There seems to me to be 4 ways that proprietary companies can raise capital before they have to do an initial public offer. I was talking to a managing director of a company yesterday, turnover about $12 to $14 million, who's never heard of crowdsource funding equity raising. He said his accountants never talked to him about it. He was interested. He said, I thought I had to go straight to an initial public offer. This gentleman was in his early 60s and is thinking about what he's going to do with his company. There's now 4 ways proprietary companies can raise capital before they even need to think about an initial public offer. Even if they need to, they might not ever want to go down an IPO path with what's now available. Section 708, early stage innovation companies, crowdsource funding companies, and now the Australian Business Growth Fund. All gives a proprietary company the opportunity to be getting some capital into the business, to avoid having to go cap in hand to banks, to find assets that they can offer as security, to enter into loan agreements that they're going to have to give personal guarantees, assets as securities, and then meet monthly repayments. Sure, the owners will not own 100% of the company, but at this stage, in most cases, they might own 100%, but they're sharing it with a bank or other financial institution. And this way, they can raise capital to help them create a great business. And they might own 60, 70, 80% of that new company. It's not for everyone, but if there's an opportunity for you to grow with your clients and to have a conversation with your clients to gauge their level of interest. ESS BIZTOOLS can assist you to do that. I think it's very important that you're able to give your clients some material to read, to think about, some videos to watch, so that they can make an informed decision as to whether they wish to raise some capital. Within ESS BIZTOOLS, there is a full system prepared to assist you on Section 708 capital raising, early stage innovation company capital raising, crowdsource funding equity raising. And as soon as the Treasurer has finalised the rules relating to the Australian Business Growth Fund, we will have a product package released for our members to guide them through the process of being able to assist their clients to be able to make applications to the Australian Business Growth Fund for a capital investment. All that you have to do is to read the material. We've spent the hundreds of hours to prepare the material. You've got to watch a few videos, and then you'll be ready to present the client seminars or webinars to your clients and prospects. And that material is also in the manual. So everything is there to assist you to be seen to be very proactive. And you will be badging it with your firm name. So you've got no need to spend hundreds of hours in preparing the material. We've done that for you. And we also present mentoring sessions. For a gold subscriber, there are 4 one-hour mentoring sessions available in the year. We do contact our subscribers and offer the mentoring sessions. Obviously, you're going to be ready for those and we will present them. We do records, our monthly webinars we present for members, and they are sent, and some of our subscribers utilize them as their mentoring sessions. And we also prepare for our members a monthly newsletter, Members Alert we call it, which is a way of communicating and bringing our member subscribers up to date with what's happening in government grants, in capital raising, in succession planning, in debtors management, and of course, early in the new year, Australian Business Growth Fund. So every time there's a new development relative to small business or medium-sized enterprises that could be construed as being work that an accountant could perform, we very quickly produce a product package on that so that our subscribers are able to start thinking about delivering it. And then we develop a training package for our subscribers and promote it to them. Wouldn't you like to have this type of product support to assist you? And the added inducement at this stage is we've been celebrating Black Friday and Cyber Monday since last week. And we have a promotion that is running through. We initially said until this Friday, the 6th. But I know a lot of you look at these things over the weekend. You have some time to yourself. You can think about it. So our cutoff date is now Monday, the 9th of December at 9 a.m. AEST. So those of you who are in the AEDT areas have a little bit longer. Unfortunately, those of you in the West, it's probably closing a little bit earlier, but if you really want us to continue it to 9 a.m. in the West, please send me an email and we'll organise that for you. 25% discount. That means that your subscription, which would normally be $2,970 for our gold subscription, which covers all of our capital raising product packages, indeed it covers everything we produce, would normally be $2,970, but until the 9th of December, that's reduced to $2,227.50. You get 12 months access, including 13 editions of Business Plus, which is the monthly newsletter. There's an extra one in there for the federal government budget as it affects small businesses. $2,227.50. If you wanted to sit down and write a product package to cover any of the issues that I've talked about, I'm sure you'd find there's well over 100 hours work in each product package. And there's 23 product packages within ESS Pistols, plus a whole range of other material. Please visit our websites to get a better view. Go on to www.essbiztools.com.au. Click on Learn More and you can have a look at each of the 23 product packages. But in particular, Crowdsource Funding, Equity Raising, Early Stage Innovation Company. You won't find one there at present for the Australian Business Growth Fund. We will be putting all that material on there as soon as the Treasurer has finalised all of the processes. But if you subscribe today or before next Monday, you will automatically receive access to the Australian Business Growth Fund product package when we upload it to our system. You can go and have a look at our grants. We haven't talked about grants today, but we do have a separate website which will encourage you to look at grants for your clients. So www.essbizgrants.com.au. As part of our Black Friday promotion, we still have a couple more. We've got one more website and we've got one for businesses tomorrow. On Thursday, we have grants, so you're proactively alerting your clients. This is a bit of a wake-up call on grants. Grants are a great way to get a dialogue going with your clients because a lot of the grants will support work that you can undertake. Business plans, budgets, cash flows, corporate governance mentoring. So please join us on Thursday, the 5th of December at 12:30 p.m. AEST, 1:30 p.m. AEDT. To register, please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, and I look forward to talking to you then. That's if you haven't already made up your mind that you're going to subscribe to our product based on this presentation to you today. But you can still come. So you can subscribe today and still come and find out more about grants on Thursday. If you need more information, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. You can ask me any question about anything to do with the offering of business advisory services for accountants or business advisors to deliver to your clients or prospects. Send the email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or give me a telephone call, 1-800-232-088. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you've enjoyed this webinar presentation. And as I said before, if you do have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. And I look forward to your firm joining us so that we can embark together in ensuring that the Australian accounting industry is able to guide your small clients and medium-sized enterprises through the challenges that I'm sure that 2020 is going to present. Have a great day. Goodbye.